In today's video, I'm going to be discussing all of the legendaries from Divine. Okay, so let's get started then with Anju of Flames. So the way that Anju works is pretty interesting. It's pretty cool. So we have Anju of Flames here, as you can see. And what happens is, if you boost Anju with a colour that is not the one that she is currently boosted by, she will transform. Well, she doesn't actually retain the boost, but she metamorphoses into a different version. So what you have is over here, this one, Anju of Aspiration. So this is the one you play first, and I'll go through all of the Anjus first, I think, just to go over, and then I can give a rating on the card because they're all one card. So Anju of Aspiration, when summoned, draw one card. Passive, this minion can receive the boost effects while ignoring any conditions, and when boosted, if boosted by a colour mana, banish that mana. This card will metamorphose according to that colour. So it's important to realise here that you are losing that mana. It's gone. So that is a reasonably big cost. So on entry, she does replace herself, which is quite nice. And then we can have a look at what you can get from her. So let's have a look at Anju of Artillery, which is the white version, which says this. So the important thing to remember with Anju is no matter which version you're currently in, all of them can receive the boost effects of any colour, ignoring any required conditions as well. Ignoring any conditions is actually really quite cool and very useful, because there are lots of boosts that are perhaps locked to a certain archetype or a certain trait. So Anju's able to take all those boosts, which is quite nice. So if you boost her with white, you get a 7/1, which says, whenever this minion wins a battle against another minion, banish that minion from the game. So it doesn't send to the discard pile, it banishes. This is particularly good against purple, but not super relevant against other decks. And obviously when boosted by anything that's non-white, it'll metamorphose. But you can boost this with a white mana, and it will just gain the boost as normal. Let's have a look at blue next. Anju of Oceans. This minion can... same effect. Whenever you use a magic card, move one of your opponent's minions with a cost of 5 or lower into their base in the rest state. So this is a passive. It'll activate during your turn, and it'll activate during your opponent's turn. This is really good, I think. This is one of her better versions. Cost 5 or less is actually pretty reasonable. It's a lot of stuff in the game. As well as that, you can imagine the sort of spells you will be casting will be things like the tidal wave, I think is what it's called. So you'll be shoving 2 things into base with this instead of just the 1. So I think this is quite a powerful skill, and of course it has these same abilities as others. Let's have a look at green now, Anju of Gaia, where all this does is it restores a life point at the end of turn. This is probably the worst one. It's really not very good. Next we have Darkness, which says when attacking, discard the top card of your and your opponent's deck. This is a marginally better than green because it's synergistic with some of the demon stuff in purple, and it can set up your discard pile in some ways. And also there is a potential there to RNG into discarding something your opponent really needs, but it's still pretty bad. And then let's have a look at yellow, which says if you've summoned another minion this turn, this minion gains plus 200 BP plus 1 DP for the duration of this turn. Notice it says if you've summoned another minion, so this isn't for every minion. This is just going to be the first or more minions, and this will become a 9/2, which is quite good. If you swoop something in during your opponent's turn, this will become a bigger blocker as well, and it has all the usual abilities, so this one's not bad at all. And finally, of Flames, whenever this minion's attack is blocked, you deal 1 damage to your opponent's life. This is okay, it's fine. The thing is, being a 4 cost is actually quite good, because it rules out most of white's very efficient removal. So, that's what all of Anju's versions do. Overall, I would say Anju is a 3 to 3.5 out of 5 card. By no means is she a staple, and she's actually not run in everything. However, I think she's a card really just waiting for multicolour decks to start taking over and to start being a thing. Additionally, Boost has fallen out of the format a little bit outside of Battle Spirit decks, and there isn't really room for her in Battle Spirit decks. And certainly, the Battle Spirit decks that she would be best in actually have some of the worst boost boost abilities really. So I think it's unfortunate because I think Anju is a very good card. She just doesn't have really a deck to play in right now, though I do think there is solid potential. Though it's entirely possible no one's just built a deck around her and she could be very good. Really, it just remains to be seen. Okay, so now let's go back to the start and we'll go through the colours as I usually do. So the mechanic in Divine is transformations. So what happens is you boost a minion and then the minion will transform into a new one. That's the big mechanic for all these big things, and they are, spoiler, pretty much all really fucking good. So let's start with Flare Zora. So when summoned, select one of your opponent's minions, lose 500 BP for the duration of this turn. That's pretty good already. Passive, this minion cannot receive a boost when not in the active state, and when boosted, if boosted by a red mana, banish that mana. This card transforms into Flare Zora, the Ignited Emperor. So again, you are losing mana to do this, but it's totally worth it when you look at what you get here. So you get a 10-2 Charger. So bear in mind, you'll have summoned this, you'll have knocked 500 BP off something. Then you'll get this. You'll have Charge. When transformed, all your opponent's minions lose 300 BP for the duration of this turn. So what you're getting here is you're minusing 800 to one thing and then 300 to everything else. Additionally, when attacking, if it's attacking life, which it almost certainly will be, you'll draw a card. So yeah, overall, super strong. I would say this is a 4 out of 5. Basically, its inclusion is entirely dependent on deck space and curve. And you know what's really like, is it feasible to run something? So here we have Shiner the Blaze Fire's Rider. When summoned, you can put one red field minion belonging to the dragon class from your hand onto the field. That minion receives the following ability. Passive, this minion cannot move. At the end of the turn, destroy this minion. So one might initially think there's some potential here, because a lot of the Battle Spirit stuff in red is dragon, and placing one of those could be really valuable. However, you kind of forget about that when you realise that a majority of the time you'll actually end up overpaying and you'll be losing the minion, and you can't even move it into base to save it from this destruction ability. So yeah, this card is really not very good. I'm going to give her a 2 out of 5 because I think there will be a time when being able to just bring in a dragon like this is legitimately valuable. The time is not now though. Next we have Lucia the Thunderstrike's Rider. When summoned, return one of your yellow minions belonging to the dragon class to your hand. If you do, this minion receives the minion's original BP and DP. So again, this is one of those things that's really dependent on a dragon deck, and dragons in yellow are really just not a thing right now. Aggressively not a thing. So I think this is a 3 out of 5, 2.5 out of 5 card. It's not bad, it is just highly dependent on what else you've got. It's really dependent on your board state, and it's really dependent on build. So finding a place, finding a home is going to be quite tough for this card. The yellow transformer is Harden the Soaring Beast. When summoned, put one field minion card in the original cost of 4 or lower from your hand onto the field. This is a pretty good skill. And when you boost it, it turns into a Charger. All your other minions will gain 200 BP and 1 DP, and when attacking you'll select one of your opponent's minions with a cost of 6 or lower to prevent it from attacking, blocking, or moving until the end of your opponent's next turn. I think this is very good. The reason it doesn't see play is primarily just boosting is not very common right now, and it doesn't synergize with the current strategies that yellow sort of is promoting. Basically, it just doesn't fit at the moment. However, I will not be surprised if it does end up fitting a yellow strategy at some point in the future, and we'll begin to be seeing play basically everywhere. So I would again say this is a 4 out of 5 card. I think it's very, very strong. Here we have Dorothy the Annihilator's Rider, and I said this in my set review of the whole set, and I'll say it again here. I think this art is great. I wish more of the purple art was in this style. So this minion cannot block, and if you have a purple minion belonging to the dragon class on your field, this card enters the field from your trash. Now this is really unfortunate because I think this would have actually been played in purple if the purple Battle Spirit Dragon stuff was better. Unfortunately, it really sucks. So I'm going to say this is a 2.5 to 3 out of 5 card. It's very dependent on whether or not dragons will become a thing, basically. Here is the purple transformer, Rekindled the Shadow. When summoned, deal 2 damage to one of your opponent's forces. So this will typically end up clearing off a force. And then when you boost it, we get out Rekindle the Darkened Demon, which has charge. When transformed, destroy all other minions belonging to the Dragon class, and when attacking, retrieve X field minion cards at the cost of 3 or lower from your trash and put them on the field, where X is the number of your opponent's forces that have been destroyed. This is probably the weakest one. However, there is potential here where dragons are very common in the current format. White and red play them. However, these decks also play ways to out these cards being destroyed, which means that this ability is less likely to go off, and additionally purple runs no boosting right now whatsoever. Or certainly no boosting that would be able to target this. So yeah, this is a... I think this is a 2 out of 5. I really don't think it's very good, and I doubt it will be seeing play ever, honestly. I think purple got a bit shafted here. Let's have a look at green now. Here we have Olivia, the Sunflare's Rider. Passive: neither this minion nor your green minions belonging to the Dragon class can be destroyed or banished by your opponent's card effects. So this is actually really quite good. But again, it's dependent on dragons being a thing in green. At the moment, they're very much not. However, I think when they do, this will be an important card that you want to run to give you that protection, to make sure that your dragons are not just getting nuked. Basically, the only stuff that will be able to really do anything will be yellow and yellow and blue at that point, because yellow will return to hand and blue will send to base. So I'd say this is a 3 out of 5. Then we've got Rory, Brute of the Forest. When summoned, place a green mana in your base. Note it comes in untapped. This minion can, when you boost it, charge. When transformed, you banish all neutral minions, and when attacking, put one of your opponent's minions in the rest state. And it's a 13/3. Yeah, this one's really good. This is another 4 out of 5. It's really strong. Again, not a 5 out of 5 because it's not a staple in every green deck, but it is really good. It's just very strong, especially when there are lots of powerful neutral minions in the format. Specifically, Rita is a really common one. And if you only dealt with a Rita with this, that would be valuable enough in and of itself. But if your opponent has a lot of small neutrals that they've kept on the board since early in the game, this is very valuable. And then you can also, basically remove a blocker by resting it, which is also very, very good. So yeah, phenomenally strong card. Let's come to blue now. Here we have Celine, the Jaw Crusher's Rider. When summoned, if you have a blue minion belonging to the Dragon class on your field, you can search your deck for one magic card, reveal it to your opponent, add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. Searching for any magic card is obviously very, very good. However, needing a Dragon class in blue is not amazing. And being on a 5-cost minion probably means that this is never really going to see play, unfortunately. It's a 2 out of 5 card, it's just probably never going to get used, unfortunately. Though it could. There is potential that there might be some combo where this is very important and essential. We don't know. The game devs could do whatever they want to make this card good. I think, as a baseline, the ability is good enough to justify 2 out of 5, basically. Orca, this is the best in the set, honestly. When summoned, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, select one card, reveal to your opponent, add to your hand. So you get to draw one, but better. Then, when you boost it, you get charge, you get a 10/3, and all your blue minions will gain infiltrate for the duration of the turn, and when attacking, whenever it deals damage, all your blue mana enter the active state. This is insane. Orca was pretty much the sole reason blue was playable in the previous format. Now there's a whole blue mid-range deck, giving it a whole host more options. Orca's actually not even needed in that deck because blue got such a nice buff from Forbidden. But yeah, this is, absolute 4.5 out of 5. The only reason mid-range doesn't run it is because, and it can, but the biggest reason it doesn't is because it's too slow. Orca is legitimately too slow for the deck, and Orca's not a slow card. So yeah, this is really good. Okay, and finally, the last colour, here we have white. So we go to Jolie, the Dreadfrost's Rider. On your turn, none of your white minions belonging to the Dragon class can be selected as a target for your opponent's effects. This is cool, but it's too expensive for what it does. White already struggles in building a board in the early game, and it's kind of slow anyway. Using your whole turn to just make this seems really bad. It's difficult to play late game. I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it fits in white very well, so I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5. Because the effect is good. Here we've got Griffon, Machine of the Arctic. When summoned, draw 2, then discard 2. And when it's transformed, it has charge. all your minions receive 100 BP and the research effect, and whenever this minion wins a battle against another minion, this minion returns to the active state. So it's definitely powerful. I'd say this is a 3 out of 5, because as long as you can afford to take this thing's attack, you won't die that turn. The issue is obviously going to be everything having research is really fucking annoying. But again, you can just remove this. You don't have to block it. You can block other things. If this gave the ability to everything, this would be insane. It would be way too good. So yeah, it's a balanced card. It's 3 out of 5. It's very fair, but it's also very good. Finally, to round off the list, we've got the 2 neutrals here. The Arbor Angel Metatron. The cost of this card while in your hand is the same as the number of life points you have. 1 out of 5. This is fucking garbage. And Suzaku, I mean, you know, it's a 7/1. It's not even anyway. And Suzaku, Phoenix of the 5. When destroyed, you receive the following effect and banish this minion. The next damage you receive to your life will be reduced to 0. And this minion cannot be selected as a target for effects in the trash. This is also fucking garbage, because if your opponent can play around it really easily, basically. Like, it's so easy to play around. There are so many tools that, like, so many decks have to just remove this from the game, remove this from contention, remove this from consideration, or to just remove it and then attack with a 1 DP thing first and then swing with their big things. This card fucking sucks. It's so bad. But yeah, so yeah, 1 out of 5 here as well. So that is the set. That's my review of all of the legendaries from Divine. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. If you did, please leave a like on the video. Please comment anything you would like me to make, any content, any overviews, any discussions, and I will look into doing them. Finally, please subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the summer so I can improve the production quality of these videos. So I would very much appreciate if you dropped a sub, or even if you shared a video and got someone else to do that too. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's video. Cheers.